Hey kiddies, 50 Cent February continues with 50 Cent and Bruce Willis. That's right, Black Awesomeness Month continues with 50 Cent February. 50 Cent, as it turns out, has made 3 movies with Bruce Willis. And when I say he's made 3 movies, I mean he has had scenes with Bruce Willis in one movie, and he and Bruce Willis are in 2 other movies in which they never ever meet or interact. So, not a hell of a lot to talk about this week, but I would like to point out certain things that keep popping up in low-budget direct-to-video movies. Since I've watched 9 of them in rapid succession so far, you start to notice things like the majority of them are set or filmed in New Orleans, Louisiana, which I gotta imagine they're, giving them all sorts of tax benefits to get as much revenue back in the state as possible. And also, Vinnie Jones, always around. Vinnie Jones, I haven't really mentioned him, but he's appeared at least once in every triple feature. He was in Blood Out in the Val Kilmer week. He was in Freelancers in the last week's Robert De Niro week. This week he'll pop up in Fire with Fire, essentially playing the same character every time, which is to say Vinnie Jones working for this guy. Our menu is going to go in increasing order of 50's importance in the films. So our menu is going to include Fire with Fire, The Prince, and Setup. What's fun about Fire with Fire for the purposes of this triple feature is it has almost nothing to do with the theme of this triple feature because Bruce Willis and Fitty have no scenes together whatsoever, and they bear very little importance to the actual plot. The movie itself, not bad. It is kind of a mediocre thriller starring Josh Duhamel. You might remember him as the criminally underutilized portion of the first 3 Michael Bay Transformers films. He's a firefighter that witnesses a murder and then has to go into witness protection, and when that doesn't work out, he has to take the fight to them, using his skills as a fireman. It's actually not that bad. Though about 50% of the people in the movie are completely phoning it in. Josh is, rightly really giving it his all, and he's, very entertaining. As is, I'll give it, I think Rosario Dawson is also, putting forth a good level effort. But Vincent D'Onofrio is our white supremacist bad guy, and it's weird seeing Vincent D'Onofrio phone something in. He's still doing a lot of character work. It's sort of like Nicolas Cage when he's, not interested in the movie. There's still going to be more than enough Nicolas Cage. It's like watered down Nicolas Cage is still Nicolas Cage. Watered down racist Vincent D'Onofrio is still Vincent D'Onofrio. And so he's pretty entertaining throughout the whole thing, even though he's not in it that much. Bruce Willis is the police captain or lieutenant that is trying to prosecute the murder on Vincent D'Onofrio. And, he just seems to take a back seat to everything. It's one of those, another thing that pops up a lot in these lower budget movies is you get the feeling that half of the actors never met each other because they don't really have any scenes together, even though the actions of one are supposed to have impact on, the events of the other characters. So Bruce, I think he's got one scene with Josh Duhamel, and everything else is just him on the phone with people. Talking and trying to get things done and not really happening, and or doing investigating on his own, with other characters that don't seem to have a hell of a lot to do with the main plot. And that's Bruce. Fitty, just in it for 5 minutes. The pendulum having swung this way, that he is on the wrong side of the law, running a franchise of the Crips, whom Josh Duhamel, I don't know why I keep using his full name, who Duhamel goes to when he needs a gun to start taking the fight to Vincent D'Onofrio. And Fitty is he is good in it, but the character is completely unimpressed and uninterested in anything happening in the movie, where he's just like, yeah, I'm going to give you a gun because maybe this will be useful for me, and maybe not. White guy running around trying to kill other white guys, sure. And that's it. That's the only scene he's in and the only thing he has to do with the movie. So, yeah. Next up, we have The Prince, which is sort of Taken with Jason Patric playing the Liam Neeson part, and it's pretty good. actually, up until like the very end, and then it just gets kind of monotonous. They actually do like some good character works and telling the story because Jason Patrick is a seemingly normal mechanic working in Mississippi. His daughter's in college, and she stops answering her phone. And so he goes to the college to find her, and she's basically disappeared. As it turns out, she's sort of gotten in with the wrong crowd and gotten all drugged up and is somewhere in New Orleans, see? Like in some misbegotten drug den. And so Jason Patrick has to find her, and he's going on a trip into New Orleans, which he doesn't really want to do. And as the movie progresses, we learn more and more why he doesn't want to do that. And that's because he used to be like the angel of death type of hitman that everybody hates. And he got out of New Orleans when he could, barely with his life. Because as it turns out, he killed mob boss Bruce Willis's wife and daughter. So Bruce wants unholy revenge on his ass. But Jason Patrick is really good at the whole dead-eye, gravelly voice, evil thing, just like, trying to maintain some composure when he knows he can just murder everybody in sight. And so that's actually very entertaining. As is seeing Bruce go full heel. Like in these three movies, Bruce is on varying degrees of being an antagonist to the protagonist. This is the only time when he's actually the bad guy. If we can call anybody a bad guy in comparison to everybody else, because they're all just sort of scumbags. And, it's weird because spoiler alert, Jason Patrick ends up winning and rescuing his daughter and killing Bruce Willis. And, I mean, considering that the beginning of the movie is watching in graphic slow motion Bruce Willis's wife and kid get blown up, it doesn't feel very satisfying, because you'd think like there'd be some more comeuppance for Jason Patrick since he was a murdering scumbag too, but no. And John Cusack is in it randomly, which is, great. I assume he was there for a day to earn a little bit of a paycheck, which hopefully he did. Fitty, however, is only in one scene. Again, it's actually a scene very similar to his one scene in Fire with Fire, but this time he actually serves a plot point. He has the daughter. He is the drug lord who Jason Patrick's daughter has shacked up with, and I feel like Fitty didn't get the script because throughout the whole movie they're building him up. It's like his street name's the Pharmacy, and he's supposed to be crazy and murderous and just unpredictable and wild. And you get there, Fitty's in a suit. He's just calmly, hanging out with some chicks, drinking something, and talks to Jason Patrick very casually and, cordially, and doesn't seem to even, get angry when Jason Patrick's, telling him the way everything's going to be, and it's just Bruce Willis told him to hold on to him, and so it's like, a business deal. So I don't understand why that happened, but Fitty always looks cool, so that's great, and, then he dies, and that's the end of that. It's one of the few ones he doesn't die. I think he's died only one other time in the triple feature so far. I think with the very first Val Kilmer movie. So that was neat. Finally, we have Setup, which is produced and starring 50 Cent. So this was like a breath of fresh air that we, Fitty's actually in it and interacts with Bruce Willis because even though he was doing things in The Prince under Bruce Willis's orders, you never even see the phone call or anything. But in this one, still on the wrong side of the law, but not a gun runner or a drug dealer. And this time, Fitty's a thief, which is kind of different. He is part of a crew with Ryan Phillippe, who, oh god, he tries to affect this gangsta voice throughout the whole movie, and it's sort of intolerable. This movie, half of it is kind of a low-budget ripoff of The Town, where we have the robbery in the beginning. It's all color desaturated, and it's Detroit instead of Boston, and we're just dealing with the fallout from that. Ryan Phillippe betrayed Fitty and his other partner, and so Fitty is out for revenge. So it's like The Town plus Parker, with Fitty playing Parker, which is pretty good. And he's trying to, get his money back while, trying to be a good person. There's a lot of inner conflict in Fitty's character. He talks of, like, he opens the movie talking to monologuing about how he wanted to be a priest when he was a kid, and so God comes up a lot. It's a it's an interesting trend in the movies that Fiddy has more creative control over, and hopefully we'll see a lot more of this next week. He brings a lot more shades of gray to his characters and actual conflict between, doing what you want to do and being right with the powers that be, which is kind of neat. Bruce Willis plays another mob boss this time who is not directly against 50 Cent, but he's one more player bringing a burden on Fiddy while he's trying to get his revenge, and so he kind of gets recruited by Bruce Willis to do other things, and then Fiddy's problems will become Bruce's problems, and we'll all work together. And so he has to go off and do this weird robbery with Randy Couture, who ends up shooting himself in the face randomly. And there's like kind of almost Pulp Fiction-y type of weirdness peppered throughout the movie that keeps it interesting. But by and large, it just kind of drags on and on. But Bruce, it's like there are two different Bruce is phoning it in type of characters. With Fire, we have Bruce who is phoning it in and bored, which is just tiresome for everybody. With Setup, is Bruce Willis phoning it in and having fun. So he's just playing a very goofy, not a very goofy, but enough of a goofball mob boss that's, having fun with everything he's doing and being evil, and of course that gets him killed at the end. And 50 may or may not get his revenge. You'll have to check it out and see. They do have two whole scenes together, and there's actually a lot of good character work between the two, especially in the limo ride towards the end, where it's, the older criminal talking to the younger criminal about, what's what, and so that was fun. Yeah, this one was sort of a bust in terms of connection between the actors and the movies. And so we're going to end it there. Next week is going to be our last week of Black Awesomeness Month, 50 Cent February. And hopefully we're going to end it on a high note, because these last 2 weeks have been kind of lame, for lack of a better word. But we can do better. 50 can do better. I believe in you.